Good evening.
Namaskar. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Namaste. How are you?
I am fine.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes, yes, I can hear. I can hear it.
Okay, even I can hear you. So what's up? How's life going?
Life is going quite well. And
Okay. So yeah, those who are seeing us, good evening, hello, namaskar, sat sri akal, assalamu alaikum. So today we have gathered here to have a author interview or a fun session with Mr. Santosh Kumar, who have been an active participant of the Paradise Infini since so long. Since we started our community, he has been an active participant with us. So we'll have a fun discussion with him, a fun session discussing about his life, about his writing experiences. So yeah, without getting late, let's get start. I guess there
oh,
is some connection problem in.
we can start.
Sir, are you there?
Okay, okay. It's okay. Yes, yes, yes.
I can't see you actually.
Am I visible or not?
No, you're
Can you see me?
no, I cannot see you actually.
Am I visible?
No, not yet. You can try joining again, maybe.
Okay. The Paradise Infini. Am I
Yeah.
visible now?
Yes, yes, you're
Yeah.
visible now. So yeah, just before you, there were some network issues, I guess. So I was telling our viewers that yes, you have been a very active participant since the day one we have started our community, the Paradise Infini. Mr. Santosh has been really an active participant. He has been participating in all our open mics. Whatever events we do, he has been supporting us. So first of all, thank you so much for your intense support, which always encourages us. So yeah, without getting late, let's have a fun session today so that we get to know you better, you get to know us better, and the audience also. So, yeah, I'd like to have a brief introduction about you so that everyone gets.
इसमें जाओ तो Paradise Infini.
Okay, can you see me now?
Uh, yes, yes, I can see you. Your network just
Yeah,
was
yeah, there were
blurry a
some
bit.
issues. So, okay, so I was saying that can we have a brief discussion so that मतलब लोग आपको जान सकें कि आपके बारे में कुछ हमें बताइए before starting the questions and all.
So, to start from the starting, my name is Santosh Kumar and I'm 27 years old. So, I was born in Dehradun, and since my father was in army, I spent most of my life visiting different places. I have been part of different cultures. I've seen different cultures, and
Okay.
that has a kind of cosmopolitan kind of influence on me. So for the past 15 years, I've been living in Delhi, and most of my education has also happened in Delhi only. And
Okay.
as far as literature is concerned, uh, I was very much privileged to uh, join the Paradise Infini, uh, Soumya Tyagiji, etc. So you people played a very vital role in shaping my literary career, and that confidence that I gained in the past 1 or 2 years due to my association with this organization, it allowed me to become a part of many anthologies, and due to which I also became more active about the literary aspects. So basically, I'm by training I'm a history scholar. So uh, I'm a scholar of history, but from heart, I am a poet. So I've always, from the very outset, from my childhood days, I've started doing poetry. and that passion has brought me here today before you.
It was really inspiring. So yeah, moving towards our first question, I would like to ask is that when did you realize that you want to be a writer? Like मतलब आपको कब लगा कि आप एक लेखक या फिर एक कवि बन सकते हैं? आपके अंदर वो एक इच्छा है या फिर वो एक जिज्ञासा है लिखने के लिए? वो कब आपको पता चला? उसके बारे में हमें कुछ बताइए.
बेसिकली कोई एक पॉइंट ऐसा नहीं था, लेकिन इट्स हैपेंड दैट जब आप बचपन में होते तो आपके उसमें जो कबीर के दोहे और इस तरह के रेम के दोहे, इस तरह के लिटरेचर होता है, और fascinated, you start imitating. So that's the first step towards writing, कि आप जो imitation शुरू करते हो, कि आप देख रहे हो कि अच्छा ये दोहे इस तरह से लिखे जा रहे हैं, या फिर आप जब निराला की कविताएं पढ़ते हो या सुमित्रा नंदन पंत की कविताएं पढ़ते हो तो आप वो तत्समभावी कविताएं लिखने की कोशिश करते हो, ट्राई टू emulate them, but you eventually start developing your own style. So I started writing, I think maybe when I was 6th or 7th class, but I became conscious about writing at the age of, I think, 14 or 15. There's a very interesting story why I started writing my poems in a diary. Before that, I used to just write and I used to throw them in the dustbin. One day what happened, there was a competition, poetry competition on women empowerment. So I had just written something and I forgot where I kept that. So basically I lost my piece of poem. After a point, someone called me that, okay, ma'am wants to meet you and अपनी कविता लेके जाओ. I tried to search for it. I didn't find it. I thought, okay, कहाँ गई, मुझे नहीं पता. So what I did, I just scratched something on the paper and wrote some lines, and I went to ma'am. So there another boy was waiting with to read out his poem. I just had a cursory look on that poem and realized that it was actually my poem that I threw off. So he just wrote his name below my poem, and he tried to show it as his own poem. So I realized that, okay, I won't be recognized as a poet. I won't be recognized for my work if I don't start compiling it, if I writing it down. So that's the first time when I started consciously becoming writing my poems in a diary. And after that, I think from 10th class onward, I start sending my poems to magazines, etc. And slowly and gradually, I realized the process of getting published, process of getting your voice heard to people. So that was the initiation.
Yeah, it's actually good to have a collection of your own poems. Keep them safely is like very important, because हमारे साथ भी कभी कभी ऐसे ही होता है. लाइक मैं भी ऐसे बहुत एक्सपीरियंस राइटर नहीं हूँ, बट कभी कभार लिख लेता हूँ. तो पहले भी वैसे मैं क्या लिख के छोड़ दिया करता था. फिर मेरे एक सीनियर है, उन्होंने कहा कि यार तुम लिख के ऐसे मत छोड़ा करो, कहीं पे भी ऐसे मत रखा करो रैंडमली, कोई एक पर्टिकुलर डायरी मेंटेन करो. तो डायरी मेंटेन करने से अच्छा, तो आपको पता है आजकल डिजिटल दुनिया चल रही है, तो फिर मैं लैपटॉप में उसको एक वर्ड फाइल बना के रख लेता हूँ. तो या दैट इज एक्चुअली अ वेरी गुड थिंग टू बी हर्ड. Okay, so next what I would like to know about you is that when was the time when you considered yourself as a writer? Like जैसे मतलब लिखने के लिए तो हम लिखते जाते हैं, बट फिर अपने आप को एक established या फिर एक मतलब लोगों को मतलब लोगों से पहचान मिलने वाला ऐसा टाइप का एक लेखक, वो आपको कब रियलाइज हुआ?
So basically अलग अलग पॉइंट इंसान को रियलाइज होता है. बेसिकली व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड राइटिंग, आई वाज नॉट, एक टाइम तो ऐसा था जब मेरे को लगता था कि अच्छा साहित्यकार बन के इंसान जो है अपना करियर चला लेगा. बट 10th, when I was in 10th, I started one my earliest poems published. I thought, okay, these are some the writing that I want people to read. But आज के टाइम पे अगर आप अपने पुरानी पोएम पढ़ो तो you will realize that they were quite immature, or maybe they were not immature from that point of view, that when a 14, 15-year-old was writing. But if a 25-year-old person will be reading his 10 years old poetry, he will realize, okay, इसमें जो है काफी पॉलिशिंग की जरूरत है. तो उस टाइम पे आपको लगता था कि you are a next great writer. But in today's time, you feel that, okay, these writings are not actually that good. When I started writing in my 12th class and graduation, then I realized that, okay, now these writings are something that I can look upon and say, I can show to the people and say, okay, ये जो है एक लेखक की रचना है, and these are writings
Hmm.
which can be presented before the people. When I reached my graduation, I also become a part of the dramatic society of my college, and that was the point when I expanded my basis from just poetry. Before that, I was mostly writing poetry. So now I have started writing or script writing. I got to know how to basically
Okay.
write scripts, stories. So one of my writing that is soon to getting published, Abhineta, and even those stories, I just published my collection of short stories called Ashwathama Mara Gaya. So most of the stories that I have written in that particular connection, this particular all the stories I started writing at that point of time in my graduation time. So that was the point when I realized that I gained some kind of maturity as an author, as a writer, and now what I'm writing is something worthwhile reading. So I consider, and from today's point of view, I consider that graduation time was a time that when I started maturing as a writer, and that point I can consider myself, okay, I am a writer now.
Hmm.
I can consider a mature writer, but I am a writer now.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, the part of the phase of your pre-university and university made you to move to a more mature writer, more established one. Yeah, yeah, that is true. Actually, with experience, as we say, practice makes a man perfect. So with experience, with a lot of practice, we become perfect. Yeah, that's very awesome. So next question I would like to ask you is that when did you write your first book? Actually, I have a clue. I heard it from my colleagues also that you are an established writer. You have written your solo books. So when you did write the first book, and what is the title of it? And tell me something about that book. Like what is the theme or
Okay.
genre that book is based upon?
So basically, 2016, and that's a very interesting story because uh, when I started decided to publish my book, it was that point of a time when I got to know about something about vintage publishing. Basically, when you self-publish your books. So
Okay.
the good thing about publishing is that you don't need to spend any money on it if you know
Mhm.
how to basically get your book edited, proofread it. If you can design a cover, you can do basic things. You can self-publish your book. The negative thing is that you have to publicize it yourself, or else nobody is going to read it.
Yeah, yeah.
So just for an experimental basis, just to experiment regarding my books, I chose some of my English poems because I generally don't write in English. I generally write in Hindi. But why I chose in my English poems is because it was an experiment. I didn't wanted my best poems to go into a book which I believe most of the people won't be reading.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I chose some of my English poems and I compiled it into the book. I designed the cover myself, and
Okay.
the title of the book is "I am in the search of me," finding
Okay.
myself through my poems. This is the first book I wrote. It's a compilation of my English poem that was published in 2016 through CreateSpace. CreateSpace is a website associated with Amazon. So Amazon allows you to directly publish your writings. Problem is that I chose very wrong time to publish my books. The
Hmm.
timing of my book published, it was I think November 2016, and if anybody knows November 2016, that was also the time when demonetization also took place.
Yeah,
8 November
true, true.
2016
Yep, yep.
monetization. So
Hmm.
heavy cash crunch. So basically, and the problem with this particular book is that it is basically Amazon.com basically sells book for international audience. That means the prices of
Okay.
the book will be in dollars. So if you convert that into rupees, it will be very high price for a poetry book. It
Hmm.
cost something like 400 rupees for just 36 or 40 pages of a book. So it is very expensive.
Okay.
It is not
Okay.
money. And eventually, what happened that only 4 copies of my book were sold. So that was
Okay.
I was because of demonetization, because of very high prices. That was a learning curve for me how to basically understand your market, and that's
Hmm.
why I chose the next few years writing in anthologies. So I wrote in like more than 20 anthologies, and many more are forthcoming. I spent
Okay.
that time to understand how a book are basically published and how you can better publicize your books, how basically you can understand your market well, your audience well. So that was a one big learning that I got from my book. So it was a book of poetry that I published in 2016. So eventually, Ashwathama Mara Gaya is something that I published just now, but it is
Okay.
a proper book, so it got a much better reception than the earlier one.
सो लाइक मैंने टिल नाउ मतलब आपने कितने सारे बुक्स लिखे हैं और आपको एक एक बुक लिखने के लिए कितना टाइम लगता है उसके बारे में हमें कुछ बताइए.
Uh, After a point, I stopped counting the number of anthologies I've written because what used to
Okay.
happen, ki, a very major role has been played by your organization, the Opus
Hmm.
Talent, the Paradise Infini. So basically, Soumya ji is a very active worker. She always keeps churning out one anthology after another. So I will always get offers. Okay, would you like to contribute in this particular channel? Would you like to contribute in this particular anthology? And I
Hmm.
always find fascinating. See, what happens is that I have compiled a lot of material. So basically,
Okay.
as I said, that I was writing when I was in my 8th or 9th class. When I reached my post graduation phase, MA phase,
Hmm.
what I
Hmm.
started doing, I started digitizing everything. I started typing out everything. A lot of
Okay.
my literature, I used to write on Facebook very quite often. I used to write my poems on Facebook. So
Hmm.
what I started doing, I started compiling them in a particular in a file. So it
Fine.
helped me a
Okay.
lot because I've written more than like 700-800 poems, if I remember correctly. And
Okay.
I've
That's
written
impressive.
like, but happened that I have enough poems to compile like 30-40 books. So
Hmm.
what
Okay.
I had efforts to write additional material because I have already a large chunk of material available with me. Plus,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
used to in our MA, a lot of our history minded, a lot of our students, what we realized was that during your graduation, you have all sorts of society, literary society, you have dramatic society, all kind of society where you can
Yeah.
express yourself. As we moved
Hmm.
on to our post graduation, uh,
Hmm.
we realized that okay, there are no societies that are available for us.
Hmm.
So we started our own organization. We started our own group. So in that we started our own blog. We started our own YouTube channel. So we started
Okay.
making short films. So
Hmm.
that actually helped us because in my blog we used to write a lot of articles. That articles is
Okay.
also compiled. A lot of short stories we started compiling.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, when we started writing, so I kept on compiling those. And when I'm sending those poems, so I don't need to write. I do write every day. I do write
Hmm.
poems. Poems, it takes, I think, no minute. I can write a poem. I can compose a poem just sitting here. So
Okay.
what happens is that story requires much more time. It also depends on how, because with me what happens, whenever I conceptualize a kind of piece of writing, तो
Hmm.
मेरा विचार ये होता है कि इससे पूरा छप जाएगा, लेकिन एक टाइम आता है इंसान बोर हो जाता है उससे, एंड देन नॉवल बिकम्स अ स्टोरी.
Okay.
इट सो
Okay.
हैपेंस एंड happens with me quite often. So उस कारण से I have इट टेक्स मी few days. कई बार एक दिन में लिख ली जाती है, कई बार एक दिन के अंदर ही लिख ली जाती है, कई बार 3-4 दिन भी लगते हैं, और कई बार ऐसा होता है
हाँ.
कि आप जो है किसी आधा छोड़ देते हैं एंड यू रिविजिट इट क्वाइट लेटर.
हाँ. True. 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 Happens. Quite often happens. Yeah.
These story writings I have compiled, and solo books I have Ashwathama Maragya and Abhineta is forthcoming. So
Okay, okay.
these are the
Yeah, like that's very inspiring to know that like मतलब आपका आपने अपनी खुद की literary society start की थी and yeah you write poems every day. That is actually very inspiring for writers like us because हम अपने busy life में कहीं ना कहीं इतने busy हो जाते हैं कि हम अपने अंदर मतलब it's like a hobby for many people. Like there are very yeah there are many established writers in our country also, you know, all over the world, but for us it is like a hobby or it's like a passion kind of thing. तो हम वो hobby को अपने अंदर से कहीं ना कहीं वो हमारे अंदर घूम जाता है. तो ये चीज आपसे जान के मुझे काफी अच्छा लगा और it's like very inspiring for me also that you write every day. So yeah, we should always try to write a single small piece of creation at least every day. That will make the writer or a poet alive inside of us. Yeah, that is true. और एक चीज सर, लाइक आप बहुत टाइम से अपने एक बुक के टाइटल के बारे में नाम ले रहे हैं, दैट इज अश्वत्थामा मारा गया, तो उसके बारे में हमें कुछ बताइए। लाइक दैट इज वेरी एक्साइटिंग टू नो अबाउट इट, आई एम एक्चुअली वेरी एक्साइटेड टू नो अबाउट इट। व्हाट इज इज बेस्ड अपॉन? बिकॉज हम लोग स्टार्टिंग से ही सुनते आ रहे हैं, जैसे महाभारत के बारे में हम पढ़ते हैं तो हमें पता है कि अश्वत्थामा अमर थे, बट लाइक द टाइटल
हम्म।
ओनली मेक्स मी वेरी क्यूरियस टू नो अबाउट इट, सो प्लीज टेल मी अबाउट दिस समथिंग।
मैंने बहुत उसमें जो अपने इसमें इंट्रोडक्शन में लिखा है कि दिस स्टोरी इज नॉट एग्जैक्टली बेस्ड ऑन महाभारत, बिकॉज मेनी
ओके।
पीपल व्हेन द टाइटल इज अश्वत्थामा मारा गया, they assume that it is based on Mahabharata. So I have to tell me that okay, this is not based on Mahabharata.
ओके।
This is symbolic thing. Thama Mara Gaya is something that I wrote. There are collection of my story that I wrote between, as I said, between my graduation time till late. So it is a kind of flavor of my 8 years. Ashwatthama Mara Gaya is a very symbolic. मैं अश्वत्थामा जब कह रहा हूँ तो आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट अश्वत्थामा द पर्सन, बिकॉज अश्वत्थामा द पर्सन इज इमॉर्टल एज
ओके।
आई से आई एम
ओके।
तो अश्वत्थामा, इफ द स्टोरी गोज लाइक दैट कि अश्वत्थामा जो है उसको द्रोणाचार्य को मारने के लिए उन्होंने बोला कि अश्वत्थामा मारा गया, बट अश्वत्थामा इंसान नहीं, अश्वत्थामा हाथी. सो
ओके।
बेसिकली द्रोण thought that okay, his son Ashwatthama has died, and that
ओके।
was the point that he stopped fighting, and that was the moment Drishtadyumna killed him. So
ओके।
basically, I'm using this particular analogy, I'm using this particular symbolism to define how in our society, if Ashwatthama is an identity, people often misuse identity to seek their own benefits. So Ashwatthama Mara Gaya is everyone, that is my belief that everyone inside us has an Ashwatthama. हम सब अश्वत्थामा एक तरीके से हम सब जो है अलग अलग अस्मिताओं से बंधे हुए, अलग अलग आइडेंटिटी से बंधे हुए हैं, and there is someone who use our identity, who represent us through our identity, even if we are not a participant in that particular act. तो बेसिकली
ओके।
अगर कोई दंगा होगा तो कि हिंदू मुस्लिम है, ना तो सारे हिंदू लड़ रहे हैं ना सारे मुस्लिम लड़ रहे हैं, बट नॉमन क्लेचर स्टेज विद यू. तो वो क्या है कि
ओके।
वहां पर वो लोग युद्ध का हिस्सा ना होकर भी उस युद्ध में शामिल हो जाते हैं, बिकॉज
सम।
उनका नाम इस्तेमाल में लाए. वो सब अश्वत्थामा है. तो अश्वत्थामा मारा गया इज अ कंपाइलेशन ऑफ माई शॉर्ट स्टोरी. मोस्टली व्हाट आई एम डीलिंग विद इज टू अंडरस्टैंड ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी, एंड आई
ओके।
हैव काइंड ऑफ proclivity to understand how will a person react they are put into certain kind of situation. तो मेरी जो कहानियां है उसमें अगर 10-12 कहानियां हैं, तो जैसे तमाशा है, तमाशा टॉक्स अबाउट कि अगर रोड पे एक्सीडेंट हो जाता है तो लोग एक्चुअली में कैसा बिहेव करते हैं, मॉब मेंटालिटी. राक्षस टॉक्स अबाउट अ पर्सन हु हैज हेटेड टुवर्ड्स चिल्ड्रंस. और आई हैव में एक आइसक्रीम बेचने वाला है जो खुद आइसक्रीम नहीं खाता, बिकॉज ही हैज अ वेरी
ओके।
memory with it. So, or basically there's a subha that the whole story moves just on a particular night. A woman who is leaving his home and he's just trying to find a literal and symbolic morning of her life. So these are the kind of stories that have tried to understand the psychology of a person at a particular moment when they are going through a crisis, when they are going through a particular many of the stories have पर्टिकुलर एनालॉजी. एक और कहानी है जिसको अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको लगेगा कि अच्छा ये रिलीजन से जुड़ी है. इसमें एक रामलीला करके भी कहानी है, जिसमें वी हैव शोन लव स्टोरी वेयर द कैरेक्टर ऑफ राम एंड कैरेक्टर ऑफ रावण आर एक्चुअली इन लव विद द कैरेक्टर ऑफ सीता, नॉट द गॉड्स बट द actors who are playing that part. So it becomes very tragic when actually the character of Ravan wins the girl, not in the story but in the. So that this is a that goes into someone's mind. तो ये मैं अश्वत्थामा मारा गया अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो वो जो साइकोलॉजी है वो हमने समझने की कोशिश की है.
मतलब बहुत सुंदर कॉन्सेप्ट है सर। लाइक मतलब मैं जितना समझ पा रहा हूँ, मैं तो काफी एक्साइटेड हूँ। मैं जरूर कोशिश करूंगा वो बुक को खरीद के पढ़ने के लिए। मतलब मुझे समझ आ रहा है आपकी भावनाएं कि आपने क्या सोच के उसको बनाया है। तो मतलब यू हैव ट्राइड टू रिलेट इट समवेयर लाइक कंप्लीटली विद आवर रियल लाइफ टू इट, कि मतलब जो इंसिडेंट्स हमारे रियल लाइफ में हाल ही में हर दिन होता है उसके साथ आपने उसको रिलेट करने की कोशिश की है। बहुत ही सुंदर, बहुत ही मतलब एक्साइटिंग लग रहा है। तो जरूर मैं हमारे व्यूअर्स को भी सजेस्ट करूंगा, काफी सुंदर बुक लग रही है ये, तो आप पढ़िए। आप पढ़ के काफी कुछ मतलब जिस बुक से कुछ सीखने को मिलता है वो पढ़ने का मतलब दैट इज एक्चुअली वैल्यूएबल टू रीड अ बुक विच टीचेस यू समथिंग rather than simply reading a book for passion is not actually valuable. Yeah, that's completely true. Okay, so moving out to our next question is that like as you said, you are not you're not a writer by profession. You're a writer by passion, right? So how do you manage your writing and your profession, like the time management and all these things? And what are the roles you keep in your mind that these are the factors which can sometimes back off you to write a poem or a creation, whatever it is?
See, I am a kind of person who is a kind of improviser and impromptu writer. मैं ऐसे नहीं कि मैं कुछ स्ट्रक्चर बना के नहीं लिखता. दैट मे बी वन एडवांटेज. अगर मैं मेरे को फीलिंग आती है तो आई जस्ट हैव आई जस्ट कीप ऑन राइटिंग. आई
Hmm.
आई जस्ट कल्टिवेट आइडिया इन माई माइंड एंड आई इट मोटिवेट्स मी टू राइट. तो क्या होता है कई बार कि इसमें एक चीज इसमें फायदा है. ये एकेडमिक राइटिंग के लिए फायदेमंद नहीं है, लेकिन ये क्रिएटिव राइटिंग के लिए ज्यादा फायदेमंद है. बिकॉज
Hmm.
एकेडमिक रिक्वायर्स अ bigger and you have to constantly stop yourself to just find certain footnotes. You have to find references and you have to basically find historiographical element.
True.
लिटरेचर में वो बंदी नहीं होती है कि आपको जो हिस्टोरियोग्राफी या किसी स्कॉलर को मेंशन करना पड़े. सो व्हाट
Hmm.
हैपेंस इज दैट in creative writing, you can clearly have faith on your instincts. You can have faith कि आप लिख रहे हैं. You can just cultivate it. आपको लिखते चले जाएं. आप ये फिक्र ना करें कि वो किस दिशा में जा रही है. You just
Hmm.
believe your instinct. और मैं हमेशा ऐसा होता है कि मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा ऐसा रहता है कि when you start writing something, there's the image in your mind that keeps on going. आपके दिमाग में
Hmm.
इमेज बनती रहती है कि फिल्म चलती
बिल्कुल.
रहती है और वही आपको कि
Hmm.
अगर ऐसी चीज चल रही है तो वो कैसे जो है वो कैसे आगे बढ़ेगी. यू ऑफन मेक योर सेल्फ द प्रोटैगनिस्ट ऑफ योर ओन स्टोरी. आप ऐसा करते हो अगर मैं इस जगह पे होता तो मैं क्या करता हूँ. तो उस
क्या
तरीके से
करता?
इंसान जो है उस चीज को pick up करने की कोशिश करता है. Regarding poetry, I think poetry is something that most of the times I feel that poems is a reflection of your angst. कई बार क्या होता है कि आप ज्यादातर आपकी पोएम तब बहुत गहराई से निकलती है जब आप जो है किसी वेदना में होते हैं. व्हेन समथिंग
Hmm.
बॉदर्स यू अ लॉट,
Hmm.
देन
Hmm.
the poetry is a very good form of expression because it is always helps if a person is
Hmm.
inclined towards writing. He channelizes energy, he channelizes
Hmm.
anger, he channelizes angst towards something creative endeavor. और इससे
Creativity.
क्या होता है कि आपकी जो रचनाएं होती है कई बार आप बहुत उसमें गहराई आ जाती है. तो आप वो ऐसा नहीं लिख रहे कि लिखने के लिए मैंने लिख दी है. बट द वेरी प्रॉब्लमेटिक थिंग इज दैट कई बार क्या होता है कि जब आप बहुत दुख में लिखते हैं तो लोग वाह वाह कर रहे होते हैं एंड यू फील ओके क्या ये वाह वाह करने की चीज है बिकॉज यू आर एक्चुअली नॉट फीलिंग गुड.
Yeah, true.
एट टाइम यू ऑल्सो रियलाइज कि कई बार आपने जो बहुत दिल से लिखी होती है पीपल डोंट रियली गेट टू
हाँ,
नो द
true.
नहीं समझ पाते
Exactly.
हैं. और
Hmm.
सही चीज लिखते हैं. नो दैट यू
Hmm.
हैव जस्ट रिटन इट. आप जो बोलते ओ
Hmm.
सो सच डेप्थ. यू
Hmm.
कुछ कविताएं ऐसी होती हैं जो आपको खुशी देती हैं. इट मेक्स यू हैप्पी दैट ओके आई हैव रिटन इट एंड आई बिलीव दैट आई हैव रिटन समथिंग ग्रेट.
True,
एंड
true.
sometimes you have not written, you realize okay I have just written something and people
Hmm.
think that is a great work. So
Yeah.
it actually differs. You see your own work and how others see your own work.
Yeah, that
तो
is the
ये होता है कि
irony.
कई
True.
हाँ तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम लिखते हैं बस ऐसे ही लिख देते हैं. कई बार हम बहुत गहराई से बैठ के लिखते हैं. सो इट्स
Hmm.
डिपेंड्स ऑन योर मूड. इट डिपेंड्स.
Hmm. ये तो सही है. Like that is completely true because the way you see your poem may not be like I will see your poem or the way you see my creation, the way you will find out a meaning of it. Because एक आर्टिस्ट्री जो एक आर्टिस्ट होता है जैसे एक पेंटर्स होता है वो कुछ सोच के कुछ माइंड में एक क्रिएशन एक पेंटिंग बनाते हैं तो उसका बहुत सारे उसके भावार्थ हो सकते हैं. Same comes true in our life also. Like if we are writing a poem or if we are writing any piece of work, that is actually can give us hundred of meanings. So that completely depends upon the audience, like in which way they are taking to it, which direction they are willing to take it to it. So फिर उसमें yeah, that is completely true. Okay, so then I would like to know, like as you said that you are writing a lot of poems every day. You have so many written some 700, 800 poems. So, is there any particular difficulty you face that in your while writing? Because maybe some point of time you may be feeling that यार ये point complete क्यों नहीं हो पा रहा है. So, what kind of difficulty you can face? So that because if you elaborate about it, the audience who are listening now or who are going to listen maybe may not be very particularly established writers, so they can get a hint of it. So that's what my point of asking.
Yeah. So basically, as I told you, that first thing that is problematic is that the first problem that I face is that most often it becomes difficult to concentrate while you're writing stories, particularly.
Yeah.
मैं डिफिकल्ट टू कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन योर पर्टिकुलर स्टोरी. बस क्या होता है ना कि जब आप लिखना शुरू करो तो आपके दिमाग में 50 ऐसे आइडियाज आने लग जाते हैं. एंड आप सोचते हो कि अगर मैं इस आइडिया को छोड़ दूंगा तो मैं बाद में भूल जाऊंगा एंड आई वोंट बी एबल टू रिमेम्बर, आई वोंट एबल टू रिकलेक्ट. कई बार ये भी होता है कि व्हेन यू गिव द स्टोरी इन बिटवीन और आप जो थोड़ी देर बाद को रिविजिट करते हैं, यू फॉरगेट कि ये मैंने कहाँ खत्म की थी and what was the point I was thinking about when I left it. So what happens is that one, what you want to write and what you end up writing may not be the same thing. That's first thing. Second, that writer's block do happen a lot of time. Sometimes you do write things but you are not satisfied with it. You realize, okay, is it enough? Is it good enough? So basically you think that, okay, I have written it but I am not satisfied from it. So you keep on reworking, but even after a lot of thinking process, it doesn't come to you naturally. Sometimes writing comes to you naturally. या कविता लिखते हैं तो आपके शब्द ऐसे फूट जाते हैं कि आपको लगता है अच्छा ये मैंने लिखा है. You are amazed by your own use of language. But at times you have to move similes and things like that forcefully. You have to make rhyme. अच्छा इसको कोई rhyme ही नहीं मिल रहा है. So basically, it so happens that you are not able to find the right words. You are not able to find the right expression that make this poem interesting, that make the writing interesting. कई बार ये भी होता है कि what are you writing? कई बार ये this is something that I have faced, that you are writing something that may be some sensitive to others. There are themes like politics and religion. These are the kind of things which are very sensitive, and one has to start this territory very cautiously because it is very easy to offend people in these matters very well. So but you write, you may not be intending to offend anyone. You may be just creatively expressing, but how others will choose to understand your writing is very difficult to understand. Basically, this is one problem that I constantly face. So after a point, I tried to avoid writings which are politically motivated, or basically I don't have any political inclination. But what happens that people try to identify you with a political lens, and you say, okay, this is he's writing this particular thing. We can identify him with a particular religious thing, or we can identify him with a political thing. You may not have that kind of sentiment anyway, but this is something you don't want to identify yourself with a particular ideological leaning. You are just writing. You just want to creatively express yourself. You are not trying to give a particular kind of ideological statement. This is something when you feel bad. Okay, I don't never intended to make that kind of meaning into the text. So this is something that I face. The first thing when I'm writing it, and secondly when I'm trying to understand how people are perceiving it. So these are the kind of problem that and the third major thing is how to make people read your work. So basically, this is something that I always face problem, that even if you have written something, if you have published something, how to make people read it. Because most often what will happen that if you send your work to 100 people, in most cases, mostly 1 or 10% people hardly will read it. Only 1% people do it that okay, it's a good work or it's not a good work. So what happens is that even those people who claim that okay, you are write so well, you should publish your book, there will be the same person who won't read your book. So basically what happens that you have a faith in them. Okay, अगर मैं लिखूंगा तो ये पढ़ेंगे, but those are also the people who won't. So you feel cheated. Feel okay, मैं किसके लिए लिख रहा हूँ? After a point, you have to realize, okay, you have to, it's more than writing anything, you also have to make your writing visible. You have to make others look upon your writing. So, emotion ऐसी चीज है जो I am a bit introvert person, so basically it becomes difficult for me to reach out to people. Okay, मैं 10 लोगों को कि मैं स्पैम करता रहूं कि okay, पढ़ लीजिए. आफ्टर पॉइंट वेरी डिफिकल्ट। तो ये एक चीज होती है कि अपनी राइटिंग को कैसे विजिबल किया जाए, ये एक कला है जो हम सीखने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, हम स्टिल ट्राइंग दिस।
या दैट इज एक्चुअली, मतलब आपने बहुत सही चीजें कहा है। तो मतलब, तो फिर मैं इसके बारे में ये जानना चाहूंगा, जैसे कुछ एस्टेब्लिश राइटर्स होते हैं वो तो अच्छे से हैंडल कर लेते हैं ये सब चीजें, बट जो न्यूबीज हैं, द पीपल हु आर completely न्यू टू दिस राइटिंग वर्ल्ड, हु जस्ट हैव रियलाइज्ड दैट या आई आल्सो हैव अ that beauty inside me that I can be a writer, how do they will overcome all these difficulties? Like, what suggestions you would like to give to the writers who are new to this field?
I think first thing is that person should be very cautious while treading this path. What always is the problem that people are susceptible to be cheated. There are a lot of vintage publishing houses that are there present there who will publish anything, even substandard work, for money.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there are a lot of people who are ready to publish their book for after paying money. But you have to understand that okay, they won't guarantee you any kind of resource. They won't guarantee you कि आपकी किताब छप जाएगी या उसको visibility मिलेगी. So
Hmm.
people end up losing a lot of money without any kind of benefit. सिर्फ ये काफी नहीं है कि आपका नाम किसी किताब पे आ रहा है, अगर कोई पढ़ ही नहीं रहा है तो that
फिर
doesn't
कोई
actually
फायदा नहीं।
solve the purpose.
Hmm.
So basically, I think it's better to become little bit familiar with the surroundings. So जब आप ऐसे organization जो anthologies publish करते हैं, anthologies always work in a very good way because
Hmm.
it helps you get to the layers layer by layer. आपको जब
Hmm.
धीरे 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 करके प्रोसेस पता चलता है कि अच्छा, this is how a book is published, this is how what goes into publishing a book, this is
Hmm.
स्टेप बाय स्टेप आप रिकॉग्निशन बनाते हैं कि अच्छा आपको 2 लोग 4 लोग 10 लोग आपका एक कम्युनिटी बनती है। द वेरी मेजर थिंग दैट अ पर्सन आई थिंक नीड्स टू डू इज टू build a kind of community of writers. So
True.
if you have build a community of writers, at least there will be some people backing up you when you
Hmm.
actually start publishing solo work. So first of all, I think first thing that one needs to know is to join a writing community and start developing their writing skill. And एक चीज और भी होता है कि you get a lot of understanding about literature from these kind of field. वो इसलिए भी होता है
Hmm.
कि जब हमने जब तक राइटिंग कम्युनिटी ज्वाइन नहीं की थी, या हम लोग को ये नहीं मालूम था कि गजल और नज्मों में फर्क क्या होता है, या गजल
फर्क
और
क्या
दो
होता
या
है?
की का विधान भी होता है। तो बेसिकली नॉट एवरीथिंग दैट इज रिटन विद, इसमें हर दूसरी लाइन जो है वाह वाह की जाए वो शायरी नहीं होती है। बेसिकली
Hmm.
उनका भी एक मात्रा का विधान होता है, उसमें भी एक उनका शेरों का भी एक विधान होता है। So basically, this is a knowledge which is very essential for anyone who is understanding literature. But most of the people that write today, वो शेरो शायरी लिख तो लेंगे, but they don't know that how it is how शेर is different from a नज़्म। तो वो जो है कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग बुलावे में जी रहे हैं। तो वो जब बबल बर्स्ट होता है तो वो जो है टेक्निकल जो उनको क्रिटिसाइज किया जाता है, तो दिस बिकम्स क्वाइट प्रॉब्लमेटिक। तो वो
Hmm.
चीजें भी आपकी स्किल कहीं ना कहीं होन होंगी, कहीं ना कहीं आपकी स्किल जो है वहां पर भी डेवलप होंगी कि आपको समझ
Hmm.
में आएगा कि ओके दिस इज हाउ राइटिंग शुड बी डन, दिस इज हाउ वी कैन डेवलप आवर राइटिंग इन अ बेटर वे, एंड इट ऑल्सो हेल्प्स यू गेट मच मोर विजिबिलिटी टू योर राइटिंग। तो ये चीजें होती हैं। तो I think the first thing one needs to do is to develop writing communities, and second thing, they should not be in hurry to publish solo books. Start with anthologies, and then if you are
Yeah.
good enough, you can go on to publishing solo books.
Yeah, true. Like, exactly. I completely agree with you, because these are the things which I also face, because as such I have not undergone any solo book publishing, but I just want to get it published, and go on look for opportunities. And I have come across there are many publications who will just promise that yeah, you will get lifetime credits, you will get lifetime promotions will be there, and will publish with your book and also promote it. But how much guarantee they do that, that's also a question on its own. So true. I think people should really be aware of it, and that's what I liked. What you said is like just getting a name printed on the top of the book is not a matter of question. It's like how much success, the true success or the true taste of writing it is when you get is that when people read your book. So that is also a very valid point you said. So yeah, like it's really inspiring. It's really like I'm also learning from the experiences you have faced, so that I don't have to face all these things in future. Okay, so at last but not the least, I would like to ask you which one is your favorite book, or who is your favorite author? Like whom do you follow, or whom do you love the most to read? And
So at different points of time, different writers influence you. तो बहुत सारे अलग अलग होते हैं, तो ये होता है कि क्या कहते हैं कि अलग अलग, जैसे मैंने बोला था कि जब बचपन में था कबीर दास के दोहे पढ़ा करते थे, फिर इंसान जब आए तो वो छायावादी थे, सुमिता नंदन पंत, निराला, इनकी कविताओं को हमने बहुत कोशिश की है, बट जो है दिल्ली के कंक्रीट के जंगलों का विवरण नहीं लिख सकता. यू कैन राइट अबाउट नेचर, यू कैन राइट समथिंग वेरी डीपली इफ यू हैव नॉट एग्जैक्टली एक्सपीरियंस इट फ्रॉम योर ओन. तो कहीं ना कहीं यू हैव टू बी ट्रू. एक राइटर जैसे मुझे काफी इन्फ्लुएंस किया था ड्यूरिंग माय ग्रेजुएशन एंड विच अलाउड मी टू राइट समथिंग सब्सटेंशियल वाज मोहन राकेश. मोहन राकेश जी का एक बहुत ही प्यारा एक लेखन है, जिसे कहते हैं आषाढ़ का एक दिन. दिस इज
okay.
really fascinating. I like that work too much. और क्योंकि बेसिकली कहीं ना कहीं he tried to mold the a kind of ancient costume drama with that kind of realism. तो आपको realize होता है कि costume drama need not be that kind of over the top and this kind of sentiment. You can write something very, just wait a minute. You can write something very substantial. You can write something very creative in this context.
Okay.
This is something that I have appreciated about Mohan Rakesh. So Mohan Rakesh का आषाढ़ का एक दिन एक बहुत interesting मेरे लिए किताब रही है. Then there is a book called 100 Years of Solitude. That was again a very good writing. A very good book that I read. At one point of time I read copiously William Shakespeare. फिर इस तरह की जो कई सारी रचनाएं होती हैं, जो तरह जब हम लिखते हैं पढ़ते हैं, ज्यादातर मैं प्रेफर करता हूँ ट्राई एंड रीड बुक्स विच आर रिटन विद द काइंड ऑफ व्हाट यू कैन कॉल ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी को, जो वो करती है, ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी को डायग्नोस करने की कोशिश करती है, उनको समझने की कोशिश करती है. मन्नू भंडारी इज अ वेरी गुड एग्जाम्पल ऑफ दैट. उन्होंने आपका बंटी जैसी जो लिखी है राइटिंग, दीज आर सम राइटिंग व्हिच आर विच डेल्व इनटू ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी. तो वो मेरे को काफी एक जो है इन्फ्लुएंस किया था. तो एट डिफरेंट पॉइंट्स ऑफ टाइम, एंड बाकी तो वाली बुक तो अलग ही चीज है, वो तो बात ही क्या क्या करनी. बट लिटरेरी में मेरे को ये राइटिंग जो है काफी इन्फ्लुएंस किया था. इवन चार्ल्स डिकन्स क्रिसमस कैरल, ब्यूटीफुल वर्क. Even though it took me a very long time to understand the tale of two cities, but eventually when I was able to go through the first 100 pages, which are just very difficult to read, after that the book is very good. These are the kind of writing that influenced me a lot.
Yeah. So at last, we would love to listen to your favorite creation. Any of your creation, any of your poem, हिंदी हो चाहे इंग्लिश में हो, एक बार बस वो सुना दीजिए फिर.
जी, तो मैं आपको अपनी एक कविता सुनाऊंगा जिसका यह शीर्षक है वो भूला हुआ अध्याय. वो भूला हुआ अध्याय है. तो इसमें बेसिकली हिस्ट्री और लिटरेचर दोनों के का मिक्स करने का प्रयास किया गया मैंने. तो कविता कुछ ऐसी है: वो भूला हुआ अध्याय जो कहीं सिमटा पड़ा है वक्त के गलियारों में, जिसे न छुआ कागज कलम ने, न किसी ने उसे आवाज दी. वो भूला हुआ अध्याय जो किसी की चाह नहीं, जिसकी किसी को परवाह नहीं. वो भूला हुआ अध्याय जिसे कोई सुनना नहीं चाहता, ख्वाबों के सागर में जिसे कोई चुनना नहीं चाहता. वो भूला हुआ अध्याय. उस भूले हुए अध्याय में बसते हैं वो लोग कहीं जो कभी ना दर्ज हुए युद्ध के व्याख्यानों में, न कवि की कल्पना में, न शायर के तरानों में. वो भूला हुआ अध्याय. वो भूला हुआ अध्याय पुकारता है आज कि भीड़ में छितरा हुआ सा एक तिनका मैं भी हूं, खून के इन आंसुओं का एक कतरा मैं भी हूं।
क्या बात है, क्या
भीड़
बात
में छितरा एक तिनका मैं भी हूं, खून के इन आंसुओं का एक कतरा मैं भी हूं। भीड़ आती है कुचलती है मसलती है, भीड़ आती है कुचलती है मसलती है, किस कदर ये जान मेरी उफ मचलती है।
क्या बात है,
खूनियों के इस जहां में किसकी चलती, खूनियों के इस जहां में किसकी चलती है, इज्जतों के रास्तों पे रूहें जलती। हाँ, हाँ मैं एक छोटा सा तिनका घुटती जिसकी सांस है, कितने जन्मों से बंधा मुक्ति की फिर भी आस है। जानता हूं इस जगत का मैं एक टुकड़ा मात्र हूं, जानता हूं इस जगत का मैं एक टुकड़ा मात्र हूं, आज भी इंसानियत के तलवों में मेरा वास है, आज भी
क्या बात
इंसानियत के तलवों में मेरा वास है। महानता ही बन चुकी इतिहास का जहां पर्याय, महानता ही बन चुकी इतिहास का जहां पर्याय, वक्त के आंचल में सिमटा बैठा हूं मैं एक भूला हुआ अध्याय।
क्या
धन्यवाद।
बात है,
ऐसी
बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सुंदर। मतलब वो लफ्ज काफी अच्छे थे। आ, बोलते हैं ना, दिल को छू गया ऐसे। तो शायद मैं पहली बार आपको आज सुन रहा हूँ। आपने हमारे काफी ओपन माइक्स में पार्टिसिपेट किया था, बट मुझे वो अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिला आपको सुनने के लिए। बट आपको मैं पहली बार सुन रहा हूँ, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। इट वॉज रियली अ ब्यूटीफुल पोएम सर, इट वॉज रियली 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 अ ब्यूटीफुल पोएम। थैंक यू सो मच। Yeah, so I think here we come to an end of this discussion. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. आपने वक्त
थैंक
निकाला हमारे लिए. It was really very very nice talking to you. Like the way you presented your stories, it was really very inspiring. Like I got to learn a lot of things honestly from your experiences. And eventually, I think those who are listening or those who will be listening to this, because we will save this discussion in our like in our post. So maybe people will listen to it later. So I think they will surely be inspired by your experiences and your life. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us, and yeah,
I'm
have a
very
good day.
thankful to Paradise Infini. You give me such an opportunity to be a part of this.
Sure,
Thank you
sure,
so
sure.
much.
Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.